What is going on, everybody? Welcome into Garage Life. We're in the garage. It is freezing outside. I am Tyson, and you might be wondering what I have here on the table. And if you are, most likely you probably clicked it because of the title of this video. But one of the dilemmas that I face is I have so many batteries, and I hate having those Lipo bags all over the place. So I came up with a way that I'm going to protect my batteries and protect my family, my house, my property in case a Lipo ever were to explode. And so what I did is I got this big toolbox, and you can use pretty much anything that you have that's rugged and durable. I like to have it rugged and durable so I can just grab a bunch of batteries in this container, take it with me. And then you can go on Amazon, and I'll link it down below, and you can get a fire blanket. And these are like 12 bucks for 2 of them, and they're like this. And basically what you can do then, this is like the material that's on the inside of a Lipo bag. So it's a fireproof blanket. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this fireproof blanket, I'm gonna grab my handy dandy hot glue gun here, and I'm just gonna kind of hot glue and mold it into this toolbox. So at the end of this video, we're gonna have a toolbox that is fireproof in case, I don't even want to say fireproof because I mean the outside can melt. I mean if something were to happen, but if the batteries are in there and I'm charging them and I got the lid closed and one explodes, or I'm transporting them in this and one explodes, it's going to have the same effect basically as a Lipo bag. It's going to keep it under control. So now this is pretty much going to be mostly for battery storage for me, because right now I just have a whole ton sitting right up here on this shelf, and I got a lot of batteries, and I would rather them be in a secure spot that I can put with my tools or everything else, or just out of the way, stack it out of the way. So we're gonna put this blanket in here, hot glue it in, and give myself a little bit of Lipo protection. That's what we're gonna call it, Lipo protection. Now I'm kind of lining up this seam with the front of the box so I don't have to cut as many sides. I don't want to have to cut a whole lot. So if I can make it to where this front lines up the way it's supposed to, then I don't have to cut a whole bunch. But right here in this corner, I can see that I'm gonna have to cut some. There's gonna be a chunk here that's overlapping and hanging out. And then same with this corner. And then I'll probably cut it off in the back when it gets to the bottom of the box so the lid can hinge shut, and then I'll just glue a piece back there. So I'm just gonna start with the bottom here, and I'm just gonna run, and I don't think you have to have like you have to do this whole thing. I think you can just kind of put some dots down on the bottom. And I mean, realistically, it's to just stick this fireproof blanket down there and hold it in place so it doesn't slide all over the place when you're removing batteries, anything like that. So it's not like it has to be super secure. It's more just to hold it there, keep it in place. I mean, you don't want it coming down and something being able to happen and it catch. I mean, granted that, you know, this is a plastic box. It might melt, it might not. I don't know. I've never had a battery explode, and I don't want to. But in my opinion, instead of buying a ton of the Lipo bags, I would much rather just have a container that has my batteries in it. And nothing against Lipo bags, but I mean realistically a toolbox like this and the blanket, it's like 40 bucks, and I can store right now all the batteries I have in here, and then I don't have to have a bunch of bags. I can just have a couple little bags to store, you know, if I want to put one in it while I charge or something like that. And this is just how I'm doing it. You might come up with something a little bit different, but I've never really seen anybody make something like this. You know, you see Lipo bags and you see ammo crates and things like that, and while those are all fine and dandy, you know, you're gonna pay for a decent sized ammo crate. It seems like you pay, you know, at Harbor Freight, when I was there the other day looking at ammo crates, they weren't really that cheap for what we're trying to do here. So you got a cheap plastic container. Well, this particular one isn't, but I mean you could get a cheap plastic container. I got one. I mean, it's waterproof or watertight. I don't like saying the words waterproof. I feel like it's like a bad omen to say waterproof. But this watertight container, and if I ever want to take this out, it's just hot glue. Like, I could always take this back out, but I feel like for what I'm doing, this is going to be probably a pretty permanent setup for me. I feel like in time I end up accumulating more and more Lipo batteries. So if I can have them in a bigger container, in a bigger spot, the risk you take with doing something like this versus a Lipo bag is, a Lipo bag you get 3, 4, 5 maybe batteries in, 2, depends on how many you put in there. This I'm gonna have 10 to 15, so if one does explode, they're probably all gonna explode. But sometimes it's the price you pay for convenience. I like the convenience of having them all in one spot and I can stack it in a tool, on my toolbox. So now I have the bottom and the front and the sides kind of mounted down on this base part, so I'm just gonna kind of take this and cut it around to where I want it to be. And I'm not gonna take too much off initially. I'm just going to kind of take a little bit at a time so I can kind of gather up how I want to do these corners. Because I want it to be able to close and be pretty fireproof seal, so if they were to explode while the lid was closed, that hopefully this would protect from anything coming out. Whether that is gonna work, I don't know, but it sounds good in theory. And I'm really not one of those that feels like I should test this out. More just like, you know what? This is gonna work. It's a fireproof blanket. And I think it's gonna work fantastic for what we as RCers want to do. I prefer, and it doesn't look like it right now, but I do prefer a clean desk, and I feel like this situation is going to give me a little bit cleaner of a desk to get some of those batteries off there. And so I'm just continually trimming this up to where I think I want it, and then I'll tuck it around the lip and just run a bead of hot glue around this lip to hold it into place, and then prevent the blanket from fraying even more. I mean, it can fray once you start getting in and cutting it like this. The ends can start, the sides and stuff can start to fray a little bit. We'll tuck this piece in there, put some glue on it, tuck it in. And it's hot glue. I mean, if I ever want to take it out, it shouldn't be really that hard to get off of here. And then just run a bead of hot glue along this edge right here. I know you can't really see what I'm doing, but hey, I'm talking you through it. That counts for something, right? This has just been something that's on my mind for a while, because I just can't stand the batteries everywhere. It just bothers me for some reason. I don't know why. There just seems like all over the place. And I want to have them in one spot, protected. Don't want my whole garage to go up, so I kind of thought of and came up with this idea. Now we're going to cut it along this back seam, and you can kind of feel, I can kind of feel back here where this tub is ending, but realistically, I mean, this isn't rocket science, I don't think. Maybe it is. But you're kind of just lining everything up with your tub and cutting things down to fit. And so here I want to be about right here where my finger's at. So I'm just gonna kind of take that and cut it, and then eyeball a straight line across, because again, this isn't rocket science. I mean, I could measure everything off exactly correct and make it absolutely perfect, but it's going to be holding some of my batteries. I'm not terribly worried about it as far as like, does it have to be 100% straight? I don't think so. Let's get the bottom corners in here. And again, it's really just to kind of pin this in there so every time you pull a battery out, it's not moving everything around. And then you get these little flaps in the corner. I'm just going to put a dab of glue on it and fold it back over itself just to hold it out of the way. Guess that provides a little bit more reinforcement in the corner, you could say. That's a joke, by the way. I mean, I guess it does, but needing a bigger glue stick. I'm running out of glue. And then this side, I'll just keep cutting this along here. This right along here. There we are. Our glue gun's finally getting nice and toasty. Getting all good there. Put some right here, pin that back a little. Now I'm just going to go right along this edge. Pin that back like that. Put a little dab here, and then you can go around the edges and secure everything if you'd like. The fronts will kind of tuck under if I want to a little bit. I can tuck those under and glue them if I'd like, just to kind of clean up the edges a little bit. There's room for stuff to tuck up under there. But I mean, it's all dependent on your toolbox that you have, or the box that you're going to put this in. I went with a Milwaukee pack out mainly because I already have some. I like the rigidity of them, the durability. They just are really good. But you don't have to spend $70 on a toolbox to make this happen either. You know, and hot gluing, don't wear rubber gloves because they melt. So there we kind of have the base layer here. So like there's the base it's in. I'll clean it up a little bit, and then I'll put a piece right here on the lid as well. So then when I close it, buckle it, I have a fireproof Lipo container. Some people say Lipo, some people say Lipo, is what it is. But so thanks for watching. If you find this helpful, subscribe to the channel, give it a thumbs up. I am Tyson, and always remember, practice battery safety, because one battery exploding could damage a whole lot of things. So are they ticking time bombs? No, but is it nice to be protected and protect your investments and protect your safety in your house and all that stuff? Absolutely it is. So just make sure that you're keeping them safe. If you use Lipo bags, great. If you use something like this where you want to create something, if this helped you out, you want to create something bigger, like to show you that you can do it, fantastic. So always practice your Lipo safety.